Alrighty. Good morning, good afternoon. Got a bit. There we go. Hope you're all well. You can see me okay, hear me alright. Put it into the chat and let me know. Good morning, Erwin. How are you doing? Hey, Augusto. Hey, Jumarinas. Good morning, Haida. Hey, Nav. How are you doing? Let's get going. Hi, Linley. Hey, Lydia. Alright, we'll give it a minute and we shall get going. Thanks for that, Jumarinas. Anyone had any interesting trades that you got into? Do put it into the chat and let me know. Move my camera, so I'm not really happy with the way it is now. Okay, there it is. Thanks for that, Erwin. Hey, Jimmy, how are you doing? Alrighty, good. Okay, so let's get started. Again, if you are new to the session, do remember to drop a message and say hi. Let me know where you're joining us from. And for the regulars, you know the drill. Big welcome back. Thank you again for joining me. If you have any questions at any point in time, please feel free to put it into the chat and let me know. And you can help me out massively by remembering to click on that like and subscribe button. And we shall take it from there. With that said, a quick disclaimer: any information contained on this webinar should not be construed as advice and is presented as educational material only, as the contents of this webinar are not intended to be a recommendation to a financial product. Please remember that your objectives, financial situation and needs has not been considered, and you should consider its appropriateness to your circumstances. Now, with that, take that away. Let me reduce that. Hey Diana, how are you doing? Okay, just want to make sure that it's all going well. Yes, okay. So what has happened since the last time we spoke, right? Look at the dollar index. This was where we are on Wednesday, the 3rd of July. So we were right there. Let me put a line there. We were right there yesterday. All right. Oops. That way. So, oh man, what's happening? Go away. Okay. So we're right there yesterday where we were, anticipating that maybe the dollar could push up and break above that previous high and continue to the upside, but it pushed up, sat around that level, and then it came right back down. It came right back down, tested that 61.8 retracement level, and then bounced back up slightly. We were talking about this on the Discord channel with Diana on that, right, where we were thinking, is it going to drop further? I think we were right at that point. We're right at that point where I said, 50 is going to hold, 50 to 61.8 is going to hold, but we are looking at further downside. So it did hold, it bounced back up this morning, was sitting along 61, bounced back up, now looks like it's pushing back down again. All right, so why that downside? Why that push to the downside on the dollar index? Firstly, it came up to the top, didn't have any big reason for it to continue pushing to the upside. The trend alone was not enough for it to push up, right? It came up, and then also what happened was yesterday, we had, right, where was it? No, that was not. Yesterday, that's yesterday. We had, during the not press conference, but during the panel discussion between President Lagarde from the ECB and the Fed Chair Powell from the Fed Chair, they were talking about policy, the policy panel at the ECB forum on central banking, and Chair Powell came out relatively, my view, relatively dovish, right? Main thing he said was inflation is a year away from now, from where it should be, right? Think we're not going to go to ultra low rates, but nobody really knows. The headliner that I wanted to point out was this inflation path is there, right? This inflation path is there, made a bit of progress, but take our time and get this right. Chair Power, we have the ability to take our time and get this right. That just came about to the point where it was like a big signal to the markets telling them that, hey, the Feds are going to take their time. Most likely, as they had planned, one more rate cut. Only one rate cut this year, pushing everything out into next year. I wouldn't even be surprised if it doesn't even hit. If it doesn't even hit the one rate cut this year, maybe they might even push it out further with the way he's talking, right? So that dovishness or that thought of delaying the rate cut led to that push to the downside on the dollar index, because it's like, hey, wait, we're doing well, but we're gonna wait and see. We're gonna wait and see. We saw the dollar index pushing back down. Okay, with that, you all know I'm watching the yen because it's just bouncing around exactly on this line. Tested and it looks like it's pushing up. I'm waiting for it to break to the upside. I got onto the euro yesterday just after our session, and then it didn't break further. I got in there and then it went up and hit my stop loss of 20 pips on the euro. So not very happy about that. But as it pushed up, I was looking at the pound pushing up as well, and that showed me the upside push. So I got onto that and I didn't get 55. It did eventually hit my take profit, but I got out at about 40 something, 48 or 45, around there. So I bought pound back up again. Okay, so those were my two trades from yesterday. Not a big move on, not a big net position, but still profitable at the end of it. Dyna has the Kiwi yen running very nicely. Let me take that away. Kiwi yen running very nicely to the upside, so you're riding that up very nice. Jimmy selling the Euro Aussie. Where's my Euro Aussie? I had Euro Aussie here before. Pound Aussie. Okay, I don't have Euro Aussie, but am I missing it? No. Nope, not there. Okay. Let's have a look at. I'm pretty sure I had Euro Aussie before. Okay, Euro Aussie from 1.6113, so about there. So Jimmy selling the Euro Aussie down from there, about there, to the downside. Oops, oh my, what's happening on this? Hang on. Something's weird. Something's being very weird on my thing. Okay. So selling that down, Euro, Aussie. Let me put that in as well. Okay. Things very weird on my thing. Okay. Selling that down, looking for 100 pips. 1.6135. 100 would be down to that previous swing low. Possible. Might have to have a look at what the euro is going to do. What's going to happen next on the euro? Very nice trade. Hey Snowflakes, how you doing? Diana's Kiwi yen 60 pips, aiming for 102. So Kiwi yen, I just think that there's quite a good possible move on the Kiwi yen. Where do you get? I don't know where you got in at. I don't know where you got in at, but I'm guessing you got in about there. Why is it doing that? Okay, I'm guessing you got in at about there. It's about 45 pips now. 9775. I'm close. I'm very close. I got it at 98. So I think you got it 9775. Whoa. Okay, not that close. So wait. 9775 would be right there. Okay, I know what you did. You did there. You got in there. Because it came down and then you were looking for that. It's almost a 65 up now, running very well. We're not getting the same price, but yeah, right there. So I think you got in as it came down into that gap, bounced up, and you're trading it up. Very nice. Yes, I noticed. I know what you're looking out for. As it breaks into that fair value test and reject, you buy it up. Good stuff. Very nice to see. Thanks for sharing, Jimmy, and thanks for sharing, Diana, on your trades. Hey, Stefan, how are you doing? Hey, Basanta. Okay, Kiwi Yen is still pushing up, mainly Kiwi pushing up slightly, Yen still pushing up, so that's why we're seeing the Kiwi Yen push up. I think, and hope I don't jinx it, but I think that 100 pips has a very good chance. You're looking at 100 there. 100 there, it's a very good chance. But why 100? Why 100? But not yeah, I think it has a good chance. Let me see. It might pause around slightly. What's happening? Why is it doing that? Okay. You might pause a bit earlier for a while. It might pause a little bit just before your 100, but I think it could. I'm pretty keen that I don't want to say certain, but it looks quite likely you'll get there. Okay, especially with the way the Kiwi and the Yen is pushing up. Okay, now with that said, so that's what's happened last night, and thanks for sharing. Might be lesser than that, just slightly, but yeah. Yeah, thanks for sharing. Anyone else want to share their trade setups? Do put it into the chat as well. What has happened, we've spoke about what's coming up tonight at 8:15 p.m. We do have the ADP non-farm employment change. It was, or is currently 152, expected 163. I'm not expecting a big number here just because, or also because we saw the, I'm missing all my, okay, the JOLTS was not huge, right? JOLTS was not huge. It was 7.92, revised down from 8.06. Expected 7.96, came out 8.14. So it's not a big jump in terms of job openings, and that's why I don't think we're going to see a big jump on the ADP non-farm employment change number. But ADP non-farm, especially the non-farm number, could really be anything, right? It does have that tendency to be whatever it wants. So just based on what I'm seeing, I don't think it's going to be huge. Not ruling out the possibility that it could be even 170, 180, that kind of number, or even 180, 190, that kind of number. But I think 160, 170 would be reasonable. Okay, then we have unemployment claims for the US, not super keen on that. Services PMI for the US, 53.8, 52.6, looking like a little bit of a slowdown, which might bring about a little bit of a downside. It's just that the dollar is pushing to the downside, so we're looking at that maybe dragging it down a little bit. I think that ADP might might be a might be not a big number, which could then bring the dollar down a little bit again, a little bit further again, and then services PMI might continue that downside. So I'm thinking now that it looks like the dollar doesn't like that upward push, might be coming back down again, maybe to that trend line, to support that trend line that way, right down to the equal low again. Yeah, there was a perfect time. That was a absolutely perfect time on the why is that happening? On the Kiwi yen. Okay, then on to tomorrow we have late in tonight, early tomorrow morning for me. We do, and late night for you guys. We do have the FOMC meeting minutes to be released. I don't think it's going to be a big issue, big volatility driver, especially with the 4th of July bank holiday to come in the US. We might not see a lot of volatility in the lead up to that. Tomorrow, we will talk more about the parliamentary elections come for the UK. Okay, so with that said, now looking at the charts, dollar index, if it does break below this point, why is that doing that? Am I tapping on something? Okay, I don't know what's happening. Okay, so now it's doing that. We want to see it break that point before we're going to see further downside. Take that away. Let me just try something. Bear with me for a moment while I do this, because that was really annoying me. Let's see if that's going to help. No, doesn't help. Okay. Take that away. Okay. So now we're here on the dollar. If it breaks 61.8, then we're going to see further downside on the dollar to as low as 105.40, but could be just before that along the trend, the bullish trend line. Okay. So today being the 3rd of July, we're looking at the dollar needs to break 61.8 retracement to trade lower 105.70, which is the 61.8 retracement to trade. I'm pressing everything. I'm going crazy. Okay, trade lower to 105.40. Can't type today. What's happening? 105.40. And bullish trend line. There we go. So it needs to break this point, right, before we could see it trade lower towards that trend line and that 105.40 swing level, which would also coincide with 38.2. If it does break below this triangle, then we could see further downside to the 105.15 support level. Okay, so if we see if it breaks beyond below 105.40, could trade down to 105 15. Support. Everyone is jealous of that Kiwi yen trade, Diana. We all wanted to have gotten to that as well. So that's what we're looking at. Right, it needs to break that 105.70 level, which is 61.8, to trade to the downside. If it doesn't, then we could see it bounce, but it does look like we're going to see that push. Okay, I'm happy with that. So we're going to see a bit of weakness to continue on the dollar index. I'm checking the overall view where we're looking at that, holding it down. Don't need those lines. I'll keep that. I don't need that, and especially that. Okay, I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that point. I'm happy with those points. Yes. Okay. So that's holding it down. We're going to see it come to that. We want to see it come to that point. That makes sense. I'm happy with that. Then with that said, checking on the Kiwi, we don't see it break that level, so we take that away, expecting the dollar to push to the downside. A bit too late to get into it now, but if the dollar does continue trading lower, then what you want to see is a break of that previous swing high, of that previous level there. Then you would be looking to get in at about 16110. Stop loss would be very tight at 20. Take profit, I would go to that 61.8, which is 50, and then you might see a hesitation at 6145. I'm quite happy with that. Hey, Noah Chuku, how you doing? So we've seen that. Actually, we've seen that down. So it's broken that point. We're going to see it come up to that swing level, break to the upside. I'm happy with that. In fact, I don't even think that you should try for that now. I think that you're going to go for 35. I think you go down to 15 or 20 on this. You keep that at 20, and you'll be looking for that 61.8 or that previous swing level there. I rather this setup. Okay, so what I'm looking for is 6110. Maybe you can go from 15, but I'll say 20 would be good, to 35 or 45 to the upside. So we're looking on the Kiwi, expecting dollar weakness, which is happening right now, breaking that 61.8. We're looking to buy at 0.6110. Stop loss 20. Can't type today. Stop loss 20, take profit 45 to the upside. Then onto the Aussie dollar, right? Again, that didn't trigger, take that away. But on the Aussie dollar, I would not get into. I mean, I haven't been very keen on the Aussie so far this week. In fact, just because it's been staying within this range, I would say that again on the Aussie, I want to see it push up. I want to see it test and possibly react and push down. So I want to see a reaction at along that 6-7 resistance level. Okay, so we're going to look for a reaction on the Aussie dollar. Wait, could trade higher. Look for reaction at 0.67 resistance level. Naturally, if it breaks up, you could look to buy it up, but I would actually prefer to see whether it's going to test and reject and push back down again. Okay, again, because it's found that level at 61.8, that level tested, rejected several times. The next point beyond that would be at 6871. So you'd be looking for it that if it does break above, you could trade it up, but I'm looking for a test and reject first off. Right? We're really looking to buy the Kiwi up. I'll be looking to whether it's going to test and reject from that point. Hyder is long from 6655. 6655 is right there. Right? Yes, I can see how you would want to get in there, pushing up. I hope your take profit is somewhere in this area. If it does push up strength, you could move it to break even, secure some profits. 6655 about there. Right, you're up about almost 30 pips. You could be looking at about 60 pips to the upside. I think if it breaks past this high, which is trying to right now, you could move this to break even, and then after that you could, as it continues up, you could move your stop loss higher to protect that trade. 6695, which is just there. Makes sense. I would go a little bit higher to about 50 pips there, but yeah, disclaimer as usual, it's your trade. I think that I would try for that, and then if not, I'll close it halfway. Okay, thanks for sharing, Hyder. So that's my Aussie. What I'm looking for is a test and reject to sell it back down. Then I'm looking for that kind of move back. Right? But I want to wait and see what happens at this resistance level. I'll put that there. It's not something that I'm going to expect straight away, but we'll have it there for now. Main thing is on the Aussie, I'm still looking for a reaction at 6.7 at a resistance of 0.67. Then on to this. I've been waiting and waiting. Hasn't happened yet. It's moved exactly as we had drawn, right? Push to the downside, consolidate along this point to push up. It's come up slightly. It hasn't gone enough to break that resistance. I would keep that view, or not that one, take that away. But I'll keep that view that it's pushing up. If it does break above 6220, we could see that 162.20, we could see that push higher. The question you probably will have now, we don't need that. The question you probably will have now is, if the dollar does push lower, could the US yen turn back down? I'm not seeing that. I'm not seeing that happen, right? The US yen has been pushing to the downside, but the dollar index has been pushing to the downside, but the US yen is still sitting right there. So this, as much as it sits there, this is going to be even more tricky, right? This is going to be even more tricky because it again feels like it's topping out at this 162 level. I think that if it sits below this resistance for now, right? If it sits below this resistance for now, what might happen is as it consolidates for a little while, we might actually see it come down a little bit, test, and then push back up. Not ready to sell, as much as I have that still sitting there, but I think that we might still see one more leg up on the US yen. So I'll keep that set up on the US yen to buy 162.20, 630 to 80 pips to the upside, but it's just consolidating at that point. might retrace slightly before pushing back up again. Okay, I'm happy with that. I'm thinking, so if you look at that, you know, with the way the Kiwi is pushing up, with the yen sitting right there, maybe retracing slightly before pushing up, that's going to look very good for the Kiwi yen. I'm not egging you on to hold on to your trade, to aim for that take profit level. Close out your trade whenever you want, but it does look like we could see that push up further. Then onto the pound, I'm closed out of that trade. I'm quite happy I closed out the trade, although it is still pushing up. We spoke about this yesterday. Let's not trigger, take that away. It came close. Someone, I can't remember who asked me on this. It came close to 1.26, didn't exactly hit that before bouncing back up. Now that it's pushing up, you want to see it break 38.2, right? Dollar pushing down, that is going to push the pound dollar up out of that range, which is going to be tricky. Of course, Diana. Which is going to be tricky because when I saw that level, I was going to say like, hey, you know, you could be looking to buy it up from that point. You could be looking to buy it up from that point, but I just don't like that previous swing level there, which might be a bit tricky, and that's right at that 50% level. Right, it's right at that 50% level. I'm torn. I'm torn between on the pound dollar, also because we have the parliamentary elections to come tomorrow. You might not want to get into this trade. This is a move to the upside of 40 pips, right? Of 40 pips. What might actually be a better move, and I'm actually quite keen on this, is to see what happens here at 1.2740. Yeah, right? Because, and also because, right, if I looked at the RSI, you'd see that it's pushing into that overbought region. It might struggle in this area here. Right? It might have that push up, but it might struggle in this area here, which could be where we trade up to until the elections. And although the dollar is pushing down, we're not seeing a big push up on the pound. Yeah, okay. So I want to see a reaction at 1.2740. 2740. Right, because we have the UK elections on the 4th of July. At this point, what's going to be, why it would pay off to wait is because if it does break above, you have 1.2750, you could go a very tight stop, no more than 20 pips. The take profit could go up 70 pips to the upside. And then if it fails to break that point, you could be looking at a 1.2720 level. Again, stop loss about 20 pips. Again, take profit could come all the way back down for 100 pips. So I think that you want to see that push up to this level, then we could have that straddle, a bit of a straddle for it to break on either side. Okay, so that's what I would look out for. I'll show you that on the on my MACD, it is actually showing a bit of a push back down, right? So it's going to sit there. It might sit there for a while, then continue and cross over and push back up slightly again. So that is showing a bit of a contradiction on that move, almost like a bit of a divergence as well. Okay, so I'm not super keen on the pound yet until it gets to that 1.2740 level, which is also that 50% retracement level. Then onto the euro. I got stopped out of that. Take that away, don't remind me. Now that it came down and bounced off that 61.8 level, you see right there, right, pushing back up. Actually, I don't need that anymore. We see an interim there. We see a range that's 50. So what I have here is that 50 range. President Lagarde is speaking tonight at closing remarks at the ECB forum. You would also notice that yesterday when she spoke, all right, ECB doesn't need service inflation at 2%. Very unlikely we'll go back to ultra low rates, very advanced in this inflation, right? So especially that one. So they're going to cut rates, but they won't go to that where they were at 0, and I think they got to negative briefly, if I'm not wrong. So we're possibly looking at this pushing up now that the election is the French election is kind of over. This was where we were on Monday. So if it can break above Monday's high and that 50% level, what you could be, and also with the dollar weakening, 1.0790, stop loss 20, take profit a good almost 60 pips to the upside, that previous swing high. I like that one, right? So 1.07, we're going to buy at 1.07, 90, 20 to 60. 1.0790, stop loss 20, take profit 60 to the upside. Okay, yes. Pound Swiss franc, yes, we can check that out shortly. Yes, I like that. Also with a bit of that trend line holding it up. If you looked at this, you'd also see it. You'd also see it come up, maybe even further. But I think that'd be a good first level to check out for. Okay, I'm happy with that. For it to break above, to trade up, that's good. Then onto the US Swiss franc. We did all that. I messed up my chart for that. Consolidate and push up, consolidate and pushed up. Didn't push up this time round. It set along. It looks like it's going to test this trend line. Dollar is pushing down, which is dragging the US Swiss franc down. In consolidation. So what could happen here? I don't need these lines. Okay, what could happen here is that we're looking at it possibly breaking the trend line. So I take that away, possibly breaking the trend line and that previous low, the swing down. If the dollar does push down, I'm actually thinking that it's very unlikely, or not unlikely, there's a bit of a low chance that it might break lower. I think what could happen is a test and a bounce back up, right? So maybe today test lower, and then tomorrow with the bank holiday, you know, with pound maybe losing some ground, we might see this push back up, maybe, right? So I'm looking at that trend line as a possible level to bounce off. So I'm thinking that we might actually see US Swiss franc test and bounce that way, right? Look like it's going to break that trend line, break that previous, come down to 9010, maybe 9010 like that, and then push back up. So what you would be looking out for is a test and bounce off the support 9020. Stop loss would be about 20 pips. Take profit, you can go up to 50 to the upside. I wouldn't sell it down just because of how it's been climbing. Right, so that's what I would look out for. Let me just check one more. 23 is right there. So yeah, it might come down, test 23 and bounce. We're looking at that possible move on the US Swiss franc. 9020, 20 to 50 to the upside. We're looking to buy at 0.9020, stop loss 20, take profit 50 on the upside, no counter trend. Okay, I actually quite like, I'm thinking about this, I quite like that to happen. Kiwi seems a bit far away, Aussie not so much. Yeah, I'm quite keen on the euro if it does continue pushing up. Then onto the US CAD, didn't test and bounce. We were talking about this, we were talking about that fair value didn't hold. Once it broke through, it went all the way down. So that's done and dusted. Take that away. We don't need that either. I would revise this, that point, and this up here. 50% will be down there. We don't even need this actually. Take that away. And I want to catch this point. So now with that, with the conditions of that on the US Swiss franc, on the loonie, we're seeing that hold. I would actually think of this as a possible bounce or a consolidate at this point and bounce. Right? As an event of what if it tests and then it turns back up, or it comes down and pushes back up. I would be looking for that. In this case, you'll be looking at 1.3685. Stop loss 30. Take profit back up to 70. Or, so that's a test and bounce. Or you'd be looking at a test and bounce this way off that support and a 20 stop with a 40 and a continuation back up again. All right, so I'll put that to the side here. I'll give it a bit of space. I would think that we might see that hold, test and bounce, or trade. Ah man, what's happening here? Or trade lower and bounce. That's good. I want to see, you're just waiting for what happens at this point. What happens at, we saw that bounce off here. So we're waiting to see if that's going to bounce or whether it's going to break. I'm seeing that push and it's hesitating now. I kind of want to see that happen more than this. Right, so 1.3625, 20 to 4 to 60 to the upside. Looking to buy at 1.3625, stop loss 20, take profit 60 to the upside. I'll be also watching for that possible entry as well. Okay, Snowflakes asks, gold did a drive outside the range. We're looking at it now. Right, pushing out of the range. Just this hour started to push out. It's retesting 2338. No, it's just 2341. Waiting for rejection to enter with a stop loss at 2332. Okay, yep, 2332. Seeing traffic on the left side too. What do you think? Wait. You see that it's slightly outside the Bollinger. That's why it's sitting right there. Right? And this is funny. It's just as I was clicking the Bollinger, even without clicking on the Bollinger, you can kind of guess that it's outside the Bollinger. That's why I clicked on that, and I don't click on it on all the charts. It's slightly outside the Bollinger, so you just want to wait it out. I think it might, if you haven't entered already, it'd be a good idea. Do not enter yet because it could be a false break. I like that. I don't think, if it's not a false break, I think it's going to push up, but with the dollar pushing down or sitting along that point, I want to see it close. I want to see it close 2345. I want to see it close above 23. Very small move here. I'm not looking at huge levels. I don't think it is clear skies ahead. I think that we could see a bit of a hesitation at 2355. Right? So what I'm thinking of at this point is that we could see it 2345 trade up to 2355 on gold. All right, so gold, like Snowflake is saying, breaking out of the range, needs to above 2345, could trade to 2355, up to 2355. Gold dollar index looks like it's trying to break, but it's thinking about it. 61.8 might be a good hurdle that's holding it back a bit for now. Richard says there's a trend line on H4 on gold. Take that away. H4 on gold. Holding it. I'm thinking you're talking about that one. Holding it back. Yeah, that makes sense. I think that that's reasonable, so that's there. So around that area. So yeah, I'm still quite happy with 23.55 on that. As it pushes up, what you would also notice is that you see that happening. So it's well within that triangle that we always see happening on gold. So might test. So what could happen is, this is on H4, it'll push up, it'll test, it'll come back down, it'll do that, and then we'll see either a big breakout to the upside or come back down. So it's squeezing in. It looks like it's squeezing in a little bit right now. On the H1 again, it's retracing slightly, like Snowflake is saying, strong rejection on 15. Coming back a little bit before, I think if the dollar does push down, we're going to see that pop up. Okay. Then pound Swiss franc for Diana. Pound Swiss franc. We didn't see that. Take that away. Consolidated at this level. So it didn't bounce at this point. It sat there and pushed up. No worries, snowflakes. I hope it aligns with what you were looking at, or if it doesn't, I hope it doesn't cause too much of a headache. Now I'm looking at this. I don't need that for now. Don't need that for now. I'll keep that up there. I'll change this to a support, which was that 50% level. Dinah was looking at this. Please, it broke the level at 1.1464. Yes. Looking to go to the upside. I think a little bit of waiting would serve well on the pound Swizzy, also because we are right at that round number of 1.15, which also coincides with that 61.8. So I wouldn't rush into a buying opportunity yet. I wouldn't rush into a buying position yet, just because of that level. Jimmy says there's a resistance, pivot resistance at 1.1485, which is just almost where it is, or where it tested and rejected. Weekly. Whoa, okay. Right there. Right at that tail there. No, it's about 1 point. Sorry, too small. No, I see what you mean, but I think that 1.15 would be the bigger issue. I think 1.15 would be the bigger issue on a daily. You see, I do see that pushing up, but it actually, again, I look at pound Swiss franc very infrequently. If you look at the pound dollar, we're coming to a point of, that decision level here, which could be until tomorrow. When we look at the Swiss franc, we're looking at it retracing down because of the way the dollar is pushing down strongly. I'm thinking of this now, right? So that's pushing down. Then if you look at the pound Swiss franc, that's likely to come back down. I feel that 1.15 might actually be the place to sell it back down. The way I'm looking at it, the way it's playing out, I actually think that I'm more tempted to think that it's going to come back down that way. if it does push up. If not, then it's going to sit there. It's more likely or better, more conducive to look for it to break that support and then to trade it down that way, like that, to push it back down. Would look a lot better if I can see it test the resistance, the round number of 1.15 before pushing back down, but I want to see what happens there. Okay, totally against what you are thinking. If it does break above 1.15, yes, I do think maybe some further upside towards possibly into that area there, which would be about that point, 1.1564, 1.1565, that area. But the way I'm looking at it, it looks like it's pushed down, it's come back up, test 61.8, and then continuing back down again. It depends on what's gonna happen on, or could happen on, the pound dollar when it comes to along that resistance or that 50% retracement level. Okay, I'm still looking at the way this is pushing strongly lower. I'm still very keen on the euro dollar to break above that high and continue trading higher. I think that seems to be the most ideal setup that I would be watching out for. You could trade this up if you wanted to do short-term trades, if you wanted to you know, intraday short-term 15-minute kind of setups. You could be looking to buy the pound up as well. The euro I'm keen on. The Swiss franc test and bounce. We're going to see it trade down. Wouldn't sell it down because of the big strong upward, but looking for the test and bounce. USCAD, I don't think that's very likely. I want to see it test and bounce. Could you sell it down? You could 45, 25 that way. I would prefer to wait it out. I would prefer to buy the euro up for now. Then as the US CAD drops, look for it to bounce, close out on the euro, buy the CAD. That's how I would stagger my trade setups on my trade priorities. Okay, so with that, oh hey, good morning Jamilu, how are you doing? Lydia's on the session. Pound, yen pushing higher, continuing to the upside. I don't even know where to put the next line anymore. Pound dollar looks like it's climbing. We have 206 up here. It's well extended. It's well extended that way. So it's so much extended. You know, I'll show you that I was back then, I was trading the yen, the pound yen back during this time. All right, I was trading it up to 195. I traded up to 195, and at that time I thought it was super high already. We have further levels there, but you know, that was back in 2007. Can it go higher? We do have levels here, but it's historic highs. So does it mean it's going to come back down? Not exactly, but you just want to be super careful as it continues pushing to the upside. 215 is up there. Okay, Is that pound yen due to election or just yen weakness? I think is yen weakness, and also with the way the pound dollar has bounced off that point and pushed up. That's why we're seeing that move. You see dollar, it's reasonable. Bouncing back or retracing slightly, but we're possibly looking at a continuation back down. We're going to see what happens at this point. Okay. I'm still watching that, not ready yet, but I'm watching that. With all that said, I will see you all tomorrow, same time, same place. If you have any questions, make sure you join us on Discord. The link is right there at the top. And if you haven't already, do help me out. Click that like and subscribe button. And I'll trade well, you trade well, trade safe, and I'll see you again. Bye-bye now.